Welcome to the Memorabilia Network. I'm Dan Nelles. Joining me today is Mr. Bryan Lojeski. Bryan is a big sports collector. We're happy to have him here. Bryan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get into sort of, the meat on the bone, I want to talk to you about how you got into collecting, where you grew up, and that sort of thing.
Sure. So born and raised Southern California, from Arcadia. And, being a sports fan, Dad was a big fan of the local teams, Lakers, Dodgers. And, it kind of evolved from going to games, baseball cards as a kid, going to shows eventually, autographs. And then, you start to kind of branch out and say, well, if I'm going to get an autograph, do I just want a regular baseball or just an 8x10? It's like, no, maybe you want something game used or a ticket or a program or a pennant or something different.
Right. And so that was sort of antithetical. Like, I grew up as a collector too, chasing all the autographs. And I was just like, photos, baseball cards, baseball. So I was one of those guys. I never really thought outside the box. But today, you see there's been this whole explosion of, alternative items that have gotten signed, right? But you were already in that ilk when you were a kid.
Kind of thinking about that, yeah. Dad kind of pushed me towards that. He's like, hey, like I said,
that's interesting.
The pictures are cool, but let's try and do something different. And it
was your dad into it too? Was he
a
collector?
He was. I mean, he started with coins and then got into cards.
My dad did too. Yeah, he was a big coin guy.
Yeah, and then of course the classic story: Grandma threw away all of his
coins.
Oh no! So 52 Topps Manals and all that sort of stuff.
He had those.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. How many stories like that, right?
Oh, yeah, you hear time and again for sure.
Yeah. So, so you and I met a few months ago, and we had conversations about you had an incredibly impressive ticket collection. Yes. And it was based around Sandy Koufax. So I'm so interested in finding out. I mean, I don't want to ask you so many questions at once, but why Sandy Koufax? How come tickets? How did you really get started on this collection?
Well, tickets in general have just been kind of a thing. I mean, when I was a kid, I would just happen to save my ticket and would go in the shoebox with cards or whatever. Then as time goes on, was like, oh, hey, I remember we were at Reggie Jackson's 5-inch home run game.
Nice.
So, he's doing a show. Let's get that signed.
Right.
And again, that was just kind of one of the things too. And then it was, okay, the whole thing with Hall of Famers. And who are some of the all-time greats? And of course, Koufax. I mean, best left-handed pitcher
ever.
I can't say of my generation; it was a little bit before my time, but yeah, the stories my dad would tell. Pictures that he had going to games at the Coliseum and all that.
So he went when they first moved here.
He did. And my mom's family, they had season tickets at Dodger Stadium after it opened for probably 10 or so years.
So you got to go as a kid?
They gave the tickets just before I was born. So from like 62 to like 71.
Yeah.
They had season tickets.
Yeah, they're like, well, we have to raise Bryan now. No more baseball. That's how it goes. So you would hear sort of your dad talk about the sort of lore of Sandy Koufax, and that's how you got interested in him?
Exactly.
And you're obviously a Dodgers fan, as we talked about.
Dodger fan and an Angel fan. As times evolved, maybe allegiances have changed a little bit, but still, I mean, my very first game that I went to ever was Nolan Ryan pitched 77. Bat night against the Yankees.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah, I do have the ticket.
Oh nice, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Of course you do. Yeah. So then, when did you buy or come into possession of your first ticket that you knew was from a game that Sandy Koufax pitched?
Right. So, looking at a collection of tickets, we were at a show, and it was, hey, I'm kind of interested in this one and this one, and there was Koufax one involved, but it was. Sometimes it's like you're starting a set, and it's like are we thinking just a player or just Hall of Famers? And it's like, oh well, hey, here's something that happened. This is Koufax had 18 strikeouts in this game, and so it was that and some other tickets.
Which at the time was a major league record, right?
At the time, yeah. I think because it was right. I think right before Clemens. I think we got it just before Clemens got to 20.
Right.
So it's like, okay, obviously that's a big game in his career, but you start looking into it, it's like, oh wow, there's a bunch of big games, and this is but trying to do the research back then, this was like pre-internet.
You have to go into the baseball almanac or whatever.
Exactly. So trying to find stuff like that. So it was, hey, let's look at these, and you start to go to shows and develop relationships with people.
Right.
you start seeing some familiar faces, either from the dealer side or the collector side, and it's like, oh, I didn't know you liked that, or oh, hey, if you like this, you need to talk to this guy.
Right. And this was before grading, before there was ticket grading or anything. So these were raw tickets that you were able to find from certain dealers that were specializing in that area.
Right, exactly. And then as time goes on, internet evolves, auctions online, shows kind of, you don't see as many of them.
Right.
And so again, developing relationships there and finding out, you you start to get into these little groups and find out, oh yeah, we know this guy's sitting on this one, or this guy's sitting on 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we get one of those?
So did you develop a sort of checklist then about the tickets you really wanted to target? Like, when did you get into sort of, okay, I have 5 Sandy Koufax tickets now, or I have 10 now? Did you start to develop as you said, you're trying to collect a set, but did you then sort of start out like, okay, well, I have a goal, I want to try and knock out as many as I can?
Right, it was more about the big events, the milestones, right? And so as time goes on, it's okay, obviously no-hitters are big, and that's pretty much with any player, right?
Yeah.
No-hitters, perfect games, World Series appearances, if there's something, and sometimes there's something else that goes on in a game that's kind of, you don't really, it's like, oh, hey, this is a big milestone for this guy, but hey, maybe some other Hall of Famer hit 3 home runs or something.
Right.
So it can be difficult to find.
Because there's a multi.
Exactly.
It means different things for different people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good. So you have a collecting partner.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Our friend John,
yes,
who is technically he's right over there, everybody. So, but how did you meet John, and then how did you guys? Because you've been working on this collection together now.
Correct. So we've known each other since before I could drive, and grew up.
Who's the better driver then?
It depends.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
We have old stories, but anyway. So we were always into the same. We were both into cards, and going to baseball games, hockey games, Laker games,
right,
what have you. And then, but we were going to shows together. We were the kids running around trying. It's like, oh, hey, look what we pulled this out of packs or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, oh, hey, we just made a few $100. This is a great weekend, right?
Yeah, right.
Or we made a trade for this or that or what have you. So, but yeah, we've been collecting together on our own for 30 some years now.
Right. So then, did you hatch this Koufax plan together then?
It was kind of mutual because John's a huge Dodger fan. I mean, I'm a fan of the Dodgers, but John, is I think. If he cut his arm off, it would bleed Dodger blue.
Okay, so. Very good. He's in the right place then. That's right. He's in the right place. Yeah, very good.
So, yeah.
Okay, so then when did it sort of get to the point where you were like, oh, well, we're kind of getting to critical mass. We have a lot of these things, and like, I think in any sort of collector who's trying to put something together like that, you reach a tipping point. You're like, oh, I'm kind of over halfway, and then you sort of the stone gathers moss, right? Right.
There's fits and spurts. There's times where hey, you find like 5 or 6 tickets of a certain thing within a small period of time, and then it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you don't add something to it.
Right.
And so, and then there's the whole thing, hey, what about autograph tickets? That is, do you keep this one on its own? Do you get it autographed? And then you start looking, it's like, well, but there's not that many that are autographed. Maybe maybe we do something with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then, obviously now PSA, I mean, I remember about a decade ago, I was set up at a show. I was working with a different company and promoting a different auction. And there was a ticket dealer set up next to me. And PSA, all graded stuff. And I'm like, this guy's crazy. Like, he's not going to sell anything.
Right.
And now you cut to, it's exploded. And, you see Roberto Clemente over $100,000, and Jackie Robinson, I think it was $500,000 or something like that. So you guys really have one of the most comprehensive ticket collections of any player I've ever seen. And I've seen a few, but yours from Sandy Koufax is really, really incredible. You have his Major League debut ticket. I really want to find out how that came into your possession.
That was a collector that we've known for a long, long time. Somebody that it's probably been 30 plus years we've known this guy. And he was a huge, huge Dodger fan. Still is a Dodger fan.
Right.
But he's getting a little bit older. And John and I said, hey, look, so when the day comes, you let us know.
Right.
And fortunately, we were able to work something out with him, and we're very happy we were able to get that. I remember we were talking with him and said, "Did we just do this?"
Because was that the sort of jewel of the collection you were really going after the whole time?
Yeah. Then that's the big one.
It was only if I only ever could kind of a thing.
Right. It's like, and things just happened to work out where the timing was right. And if it would have been 6 months before, maybe it couldn't have happened. But things happen for a reason, they say, and yeah.
So then you've amassed this collection. I think the tickets we discussed, there's almost around 57, which is pretty incredible for all of the life achievements that Sandy Koufax has had. What brought you to the decision to part with the collection that you spent so much time putting together?
Well, part of it was when we were talking with you. We saw you at the show, and started talking, and it's like, this is a no-brainer. It's like, you've got Sandy Koufax can be highlighted. We've got these tickets.
Right.
Let's put this together, and it's a great platform to make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you for
about
putting your trust in us, for sure.
Thank you.
We understand that we're taking your child and fostering it along the way here.
Sure.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Bryan. Thank you very much for all of the insight. Again, it is one of the greatest ticket collections I've ever seen. Congratulations to both of you for having the perseverance to put together. A lot of people would have given up, long before you did. And we're very proud to have it as part of our Greats of the Game auction that's ongoing right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
For more information, please visit us at www.thememorabilianetwork.com and www.tmnauctions.com, and we'll see you next time.